Hi everyone and welcome back to the Snakemake series. Marcos here. In this video I will show you how wildcards propagate within rules from the output, the inputs and the shell command. Let's start with a simple rule named copy A1 that takes the file A, makes a copy and renames it A1. When we launch the pipeline, the rule is run and the file A1 is generated. Now let's try to use wildcards for this rule. To do this, we define variable x for the output using curly brackets. When we launch the pipeline, of course, it crashes because the output is not defined. Here, Snakemake patiently shares a bit of documentation and suggests to use the rule all. So let's use the rule all and specify A1 as our target file. If you are not sure how rule all works, please check the rule all video of this series. You can go to the video by clicking on the link on screen. Now when we launch the pipeline, everything works, the file A1 is created and the wildcard X is assigned A1. Let's see what happens if we try to specify the wildcard in the input. We will replace, in this case, the A with the X in curly brackets. When we launch the pipeline, it does not work, of course, because we are left with a cyclic dependency, since we are giving the same file as input and output. So we need to be more careful to propagate the wildcard, and we have to write it in such a way that only the shared part of the string between the input and the output is replaced between curly brackets. In this case, the variable is just A in the output, so we need to put the 1 after the wildcard. Now the pipeline launches, the rules are run, and the A1 file is generated. In the process, the wildcard X has been assigned the value A and has been correctly replaced in the shell command. Now let's try to propagate the wildcard to the shell command by putting the wildcard between curly brackets. In this command, I will ask the shell to print the wildcard after making the file copy. When we launch the pipeline, we get a name error and we are asked if we meant wildcards.x, which I suppose we did. So let's go ahead and add wildcards before the x. So now when we launch the pipeline, the wildcard is printed as requested. And we can see it is used to generate the shell command. Okay, now let's try to propagate the wildcard across rules and through the input as well. We will write the rule copy A2 that makes a copy of file A1 and renames it A2. We make sure that the output of copy A1 matches the input of copy A2. And when we launch the pipeline, all rules are run, both files are generated. In every case, wildcard X has been assigned the value A. We can see the DAG of the run with the following command. And when we open the PDF, we see that copy A1 runs first, copy A2 next, and rule all last. When rule copy A1 is run, the wildcard X is assigned the value A, and then gets propagated to rule copy A2 without being shown in the DAG. Let's see what happens if we name the wildcards differently by renaming the variables in copy A2 Y. We request the DAG and we get a similar result, but now the new Y wildcard are specified in the rule copy A2. However, the wildcards within the rules need to match. If, for example, the input and the output are mismatched and we launch the pipeline, we get that the input wildcards cannot be determined as expected. In this case, the X wildcards in the input. So now, in addition to propagating wildcards across rules, we can have multiple branches of the pipeline propagating different wildcards in parallel. For example, let's request the files B2, C2, and D2 in addition to A2. For this, we need to provide files B, C, and D as inputs as well. So when we launch the pipelines, all requested files are generated. We can visualize the DAG with the following command, and we see that the different branches are running parallel with the same rules being assigned different wildcards for each branch. As you can see, specifying the input files can become tedious, especially with a lot of files. In the next video, I will show you how to specify inputs using functions. If you are interested in other Snakemake features, check the other videos in the series, and please find all the script for this video in the description that you will have for your reference. I will see you then in the next video.